Oh, hold on.
Hey.
So Facebook, hello, and YouTube, hello. Prepared.
Hey y'all. Hey. Hey y'all. Hey. Hey y'all. Hey.
So to go ahead and introduce ourselves,
Oh,
Tracy.
this is Pee Wee's Kids Podcast. Today is Wednesday, March 29th. Hump Day.
Hump day. Hump day.
And last week was Nora Teacher's Podcast Day, and we had a lot of stuff going on, and we are tired. Right? But anyway, so I'm Tracy. I'm Danette, back on the land.
I'm Nora, the one and only. Thank you guys for coming. I did not do a great job this week of putting out reminders that we would be here. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And I have read all the good things that you guys had to say, and they're liking what we're doing. So I'm kind of proud of that. And I'm very proud of that. It ain't no kind of proud of that. I'm very proud of that. And of course, Pee Wee's Kids, we're missing Nikki. Nikki, she don't know when to stop.
We are missing a person today.
Yeah, Nikki don't know when to stop. Nikki be on go, so she got plans.
Oh,
Nikki taking flight.
That's right.
Nikki don't got time for
That's
us.
why she catch
Nikki
flights,
taking flights.
not feelings.
So yes, Nikki catch flights, not feelings. So with that being said, what y'all whispering about? And the microphone right here.
Oh yeah, because Nikki wasn't here last week because she was on a cruise, and she's not here this week because she's actually catching a flight.
Catching flight.
She might tune in.
She in there because I see her little thing. Hey,
There
Nikki.
she go. Hey sis.
Yeah, she there. She's with us. So anyway, today's topic, if you have not seen yet, is going to be on domestic violence. And that is something that we all hold near and dear to our heart, I believe, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We all, Pee Wee's Kids, have dealt with some form of domestic violence. And I do have, like, I'm going to get up, and it's going to be so rude because I'm going to get up and I'm going to go find my journal because I did. Oh, well, no, just get it. We got a 1-800 number for the domestic violence. I think that's the best thing we can start off with.
Can't you pin that somewhere too?
I ain't even got the computer up. So we are Pee Wee's Kids. That was my mom's name. She has gone to glory. And we are all from gone to glory. We are all from the same house, same roof, same window, different views. So we like to tell you what we went through as sisters, and our topics are usually, they've been lately on relationships, but it's really sisterhood and brotherhood, because we do have a brother by the name of Charlie. His name is not Charlie, but we have pegged him to be Charlie because we're his angels.
Special guest.
He can't, but he'll be a special guest as Charlie.
But nobody knows Charlie.
Nobody knows him.
Nobody sees Charlie Angels. You never see Charlie.
So we might have to put him on
So
speaker.
Charlie always was only on the phone.
Yeah, we might have to put him on speaker.
Okay, y'all see, I ain't watched Charlie Angels that much. But yeah, so I just know they did the infamous pose.
A whole season, and then a whole remix of the season. You gotta turn that way.
I don't know. I must
You gotta turn this way.
She in the 70s, baby. She in the 70s, baby.
Got my shooting the gun.
But so for whatever reason, we like to come with what we feel is important, what we feel is fun, what we kind of know something about. So I will let Danette tell us how was her week. I guess you already told us.
Today?
Mhm.
Oh no, my week was fabulous. Thank you so much, because I had so much fun. I was sleepy, but I had fun. I really wanted. The boat was rocking. Wait.
So what you thought about that Carnival Conquest boat?
Okay, so for her 50th birthday, we went on Carnival Conquest. And so I hadn't been on a cruise in like 26 years. And I did not want to go on this cruise because
It was a what?
I am a germaphobe, and I call it a floating germ incubator because it is what it is.
That killed me. Y'all gotta go follow her because
I
she's funny
hated
too.
touching the rails. Like I do like that they have hand washing stations throughout the boat. So I utilize those hand
I
washing
see.
stations a lot. What I didn't do was have my little crossbody bag or something with me with my hand wipes, so that as I walk down the rails, I try not to touch them. But when I did, I had to go find a hand washing station. And they do have buffets, which I'm not a buffet person, but you really can't avoid it on a cruise ship. But whenever I could, like when the people was like, "Oh, you can get your food from the buffet," and I'm like, "I don't do buffets," and they was like, "Okay." And
Bougie.
I ain't bougie.
I know bougie.
I'm just
though.
trying not to get everybody germs. And so the good thing was, in some of the places, like they do have stuff behind the counter. So if you are a person that is a germaphobe and you go on a cruise and you don't want to go to the buffet, tell the people. Like the big buffet, you can't get around that. But like in the little restaurants where you try to have a little condiment bar and you go pick all your toppings, I ain't doing that. I just need y'all to put my stuff on from the back. And they did. So
What about you, Danny?
I did what I was supposed to do. I ate. I drank. Yes, I said drank. Fancy fingers. And I slept and I relaxed and I put my feet up and I had a good. And in the last day, I'm glad I got my nieces and my nephews and my sisters. It was just ghetto all over.
That boat was ghetto. That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay,
So
so
that's
yeah,
why I said I'm
the
being
boat
real honest
was
here.
literally ghetto. Like I've been on a couple cruises now, and Conquest had to be by far the best food.
I don't know.
The best
I
food
say the best food.
on all the boats that I've been on in the last couple months.
What's down?
They had oxtails. They had
Who had oxtails?
curry goat. You
They
mean?
had curry goat.
they had oxtails and curry goat.
Yeah,
Yes. Right by the curry goat.
Oh, they missed that.
Nikki.
Seen that.
Ask Nikki.
Oh,
They
well,
had
I didn't even see that.
Well,
They
maybe I
had-
didn't see it. I just didn't.
They
want
had crab. They
it.
had
The crab was. So
the crab was
good.
so good.
Oh my God,
The wait
so
was
good.
horrible.
The rate was horrible.
But the
I'm
crab
glad
was
I didn't
good.
get no crabs because I was too full.
The water, the swimming pools look like piss
Now,
pools.
swimming pools, I
Oh
wouldn't
my
touch.
No, they
that.
look like they just got in there just to pee. Like I'm gonna get in this pool to pee.
But
That's
the one that I seen that really looked like pissy pool was the one where all the kids was in.
But you know
Well, I
what?
ain't gonna get no more.
But you
I
know
was
what?
just
The
sitting at one.
pool, the big mistake that they made for that pool was the tire on the pool was green. So it made
was
the
it
pool
dolphins
water-
or the
I don't know
manatees or
what it
something?
was.
But
You couldn't
truthfully,
really see
the
them.
boat looked like a slave ship.
No, it
Oh.
didn't.
It did. You seen all that
Rust.
well the rust too.
Oh,
The rust too, and I didn't want to go on the balcony because I felt like the balcony was gonna cave in. Cause
that is not true.
well, y'all must have been better than mine. But it did look like a
Listen, all
slave
the
ship.
people that
Did
was
you
on
see
my
the paintings on the wall?
No.
Y'all didn't look at. See, y'all didn't even look.
Man, who goes in their room and stay
Okay,
home?
it was horrible.
It was geometric paintings.
It was horrible.
Well, I actually, even though I didn't
My
want to go on
eyes
the
was
cruise,
closed.
and it is a germ incubator, I did enjoy it. They did have a lot of food. It was to me, like the crabs was off the chain, like they seafood
so mad
station. Oh yeah, because it was seasoned. Like you know how you crack a crab and it just be plain meat. No, when you crack these crabs, and they must have boiled it in some good seasoned water, because it was seasoned throughout the crab. It was so good. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so mad.
That was
that
the best
she telling
food on
me
the
this. I
boat.
was sitting right next to
We
him,
tried to get you to taste
and
it.
I was so full.
I was full and I still ate, even though the food wasn't that good.
And mad because I only gained 1 pound.
Girl,
One
until
pound.
you went to the
The
bathroom.
Bahamas was
That's
the
all
bomb.
I did.
The water in the Bahamas
The,
was
the
so
Bahamas
good.
was
Oh
nice,
my God.
and our driver,
Durrell.
he was nice. He's a
Even though-
independent taxi cab
We
driver.
cut off about 5 times during the trip.
You know what?
Independent.
We was behind eat a lot of times.
But he was so smooth with it. Every time we broke down,
we
he would
rode,
just keep
we
talking.
rode across the
Like we
bridge
didn't break down.
to Atlanta, going like 3 miles an hour in the put. I was just so mad. It was so funny.
And karaoke on the boat, black people took it to a whole nother level.
Karaoke was off the chain.
Karaoke was ridiculous. It was a whole nother level of stuff. But anyway, let's get down to why we're here tonight. Is because of domestic violence. The 1-800 number, the number for domestic violence is 1-800-799
7233.
7233. And if you want to text, you can text START, START, to 88788.
Yep.
Now, I know that when we have these conversations, or when people have these conversations, they're just having them out of kind of like the blue, but it may touch someone somewhere.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily out of blue, because while we're on the cruise, Jonathan Majors, and I know a lot of people know who he is because it's been really big in the media since they've been promoting that movie Creed 3 with Michael B. Jordan. And so he's become very popular. You've seen it a lot in like the social media and all that, the press conferences and whatever grand openings. Well, he was arrested over the time we were on the cruise for basically assaulting his girlfriend, allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, and allegedly it was because she went through his phone or something, I don't know, whatever the blogs, whoever be lying, rumors and all that kind of stuff said. So he was arrested for assaulting her. So then the question is when, which the answer is never, but one, it brings up that issue of domestic violence, and two, like, when is it ever acceptable, like at what point in your life as an adult do you feel that it's not necessary, you shouldn't be going through people's phones? And I'm not saying no assault was, I don't even know if she went through his phone, that was just what they said. But, and that doesn't warrant any type of assault. But as adults, like, when is it time to stop looking and snooping through people's phones?
That was never a thing for me, by the way. That was never.
Yeah.
I don't care if I think.
I went through
she
some
or not.
phones
I ain't
in my
never
life.
went through nobody's phone.
I went through phones when I was younger, but
Well, when I was younger.
yeah, but after a certain point, it was like I'm not going through nobody's phone.
Feel like this.
I did that too. I just sat behind him and looked from his back. Like I watched him as he go through his Instagram or something. Like, what is he doing? Yeah.
I mean, that's different. But to actually
Like
like
his head moves, I went to
to
sleep.
actually
So yes, I think we are all guilty of some type of looking.
But I mean,
Yeah.
looking is not the
Yeah.
same as like taking the phone while somebody's asleep,
What
trying to
I'm
break the
not
code
gonna
and
accept,
getting in,
though,
and, you know.
is turning your phone over. I'm not gonna accept that.
Mhm.
Like whoever calling, answer the phone.
But
I
do
don't
you
care
have
who it
like my person had access to my phone, so they could go through
I don't
it
have no
any
lock on my
time. They
phone.
just didn't, and I had access to their phone, and I could go through it any time. I just didn't. Like I didn't feel the need to that.
That's what I
Lucy
said,
on
my phone, I
YouTube
lock
said, "You
myself
looking,
out.
you gonna find something."
Oh, you gonna find
exactly.
So that's what kind of brought up domestic violence is always, an issue at the forefront of everything. So, but that was just something that when we got back, well, at least me, because I didn't have Wi-Fi on the cruise because I was cheap. And everybody that I talked to was on the cruise, so I didn't need Wi-Fi. But anyway, so that's what I heard when we came back. And so that brought up the topic of domestic violence in today's age. And domestic violence is typically against women. And
Don't say that.
Cause I fight.
hold on, let me finish my
Okay.
statement.
Don't say typically, because let's pull it up. Did
It's
you
not
pull it
statistically.
up? Okay, because I done seen some men get the
I
brakes
didn't
beat
say
off
it.
of them.
Oh my
Did
God.
you see
Are you
the?
gonna let
Okay, go ahead. Go.
Statistically, women have physical domestic violence perpetrated against them at a higher rate, like 3 times the rate of men.
That could be a lot
It is
because
not a
a
lot.
police officer tends to believe women more times.
Well, that's
than
true,
men.
and men don't report it as much as
Exactly,
women because it's definitely shameful for a man to say he's been beaten up, keep getting beat up by a woman. How you get beat up by a woman? Because
his
you being a
mama told him
man
not to
and
hit
you
his
not
mama.
fighting.
Yeah.
But exactly.
But
So-
you can shake her.
You can shake her.
Shake them.
I've been
But-
shake before.
Me too, and I don't like they hit me. I'm joking.
85% of women report domestic violence versus only 15% of men report being in a domestic violence situation. So that's why I say most women. Now, there's a lot of women that don't report domestic violence, and there's a lot of forms of abuse that don't get reported because people don't realize it's abuse, or it's not something that's really that you can really prove or validate, in fight court or whatever. But go ahead, Noah, what were you saying?
You said it because you rounded back and you got it.
I ain't
But-
gonna back, you just let me finish.
Man, you know what? Next time we're gonna have to let the next sit by me because Tracy, you stay.
You stay interrupting me.
You think she ain't gonna like go around me?
But it's just we too close. Like we too close. Like
We too close that you gonna.
that I might put these hands on you.
No,
you
we talking
know.
about domestic
I might
violence.
put exactly. That's domestic violence.
Domestic
She
violence.
got to get it pop pop.
And she gonna get the pow back.
Lord and both of them can fight. We're gonna keep this thing recorded, but we're not gonna fight.
So I don't know if you guys seen on Facebook, a young lady went live. So that's what made me say about me and our victims. A young lady went live on Facebook and basically poked at her husband until she shot him. He was trying to leave home. I sent y'all that, didn't
I
I?
thought it said he wanna cook for the kids.
That was a different one, a man. That was a
There's
different
so
man.
many.
Yeah, because he
And she said she didn't know the bullet was in a.
In the chamber, yeah.
this girl beat her ex-boyfriend, whoever. She beat him with a bat
Why?
Ooh.
because he wouldn't do something with the kids.
We need to look that up.
Well, he wasn't doing something with the kids.
I didn't save it because it wasn't a domestic violence topic on board at the time.
So there are a bunch of different forms of domestic violence, but the top 5 is physical abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, that's like emotional abuse, and mental, sexual abuse, and financial abuse. Financial abuse. Sometimes we look over the psychological, sexual, and financial because when we're in a relationship, you often think like you can't be raped and it's not a violation, or either you don't notice how they're holding finances over your head to keep you at a state where you have to
Be dependent.
be
That's why I
dependent.
left my ex-husband.
He had you over financial?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
He thought that I don't know why, but he thought I was a money hungry something. I ain't never been a gold digger, I don't think. But he thought I was money hungry and he thought I was using sex over his head. And he was a breadwinner. I was a stay-at-home mom like we was talking about last week. And the money was coming and I was spending it. Like, I wasn't overspending or whatever, but every time me and him got in an argument, he always said, give me my cards, give me my keys, give me my car, get out my house, And it was like, dude, you playing with my livelihood. And after so many years, I got brave and I got the courage. And, it was like, no matter what, I was scared to leave because I wasn't financially able to leave. But when you get beat down so much, it's like you gotta leave, and mentally, yeah. And it was like, I can't take it.
Physically abusive.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, well, not beat down like that, but just you get tired of the abuse, and the conversations wasn't good, and my kids seen it. My kids shook me and was like, "Mom," because I almost stayed. It was like, "Mom, you gotta go. You gotta get up out of here."
When the kids
But
tell
they
you
seen
it's
the
time to go,
weakness.
that's a huge.
Well, I dated a guy,
Oh,
and I know here we go. We always got a conversation. Let me write this number down and you have it for her. But I was in a situation where I was dating a young man, and he sold, basically that's what he did for a living, and I found myself to become dependent upon him. I kept a job, don't get me wrong, but his money was so much better, and I was able to keep my money, his money. He was paying the bills, he was doing everything, but he wasn't coming home at night, like 4 or 5 nights straight. Girls would knock on my door. When he did come home, he would come home and put something nice on the dresser, give me some diamonds or jewelry or money, and I would stay there. So it happened that I asked him not to prepare drugs around my children, and my daughter would get home about 30 minutes before me. And one day I came home and she was home. There was a lot of guys in the house and they were doing their thing, and I'm looking. I hope this don't incriminate me because I might be lying. Everything on Facebook ain't true. just in case they try to send me to jail.
We just making stories.
Yeah, we just making stories just in case. I don't know.
Entertainment.
Yeah, this is
Just
talk
for entertainment.
Just for entertainment. So don't try to say
We are not counselors.
I don't know if I'm telling the truth or not. But
Never that far back.
for whatever, I can't remember that far back. But I came home and he was doing his business and all these guys was in the house and it was just my daughter. And that scared the hell out of me because of course they were high, they were doing whatever. And when I said something to him, I'm like, you remember I told you not to do this in the house with my daughter, wait till I get home? Dude told me I was there for recreation and if I didn't like it, I could go.
Oh, like that man told that lady on Cheetahs.
Basically, yes, exactly. So he told me I was there for recreation. If I didn't like it, I could go. So on one fine Wednesday, I remember like it was yesterday, I went to the corner and picked up all the little junkies on the corner, and I got my best friend, and we moved out that house on a Wednesday when I knew he had a class to go to, and we was out of that house in probably 39 minutes flat.
No, we
Packed all my stuff and we was gone, my kids and all. And by the time he seen me, I was on. By the time he talked to me, we was on our way to Tampa. And y'all know, of course, everything left the house with me. It wasn't just me by myself. You wasn't gonna send me out the door like, yeah. Yeah. So recreation, I got out. But those are types of domestic violence, which it literally went further. He's never hit me. But with the process going on and time spent, he paid some women to actually fight me. Now I'm a fighter, so they couldn't have got me by themselves. It took I'm sorry, y'all. I be getting. Ooh, they couldn't have got me all by themselves. So it took some old people. Yeah, it took a team. So anyway, they ended up jumping me.
Do I remember this?
Yeah, you was there.
Okay, I was just making
Yeah.
sure it was twice something like that happened. Not somebody got paid to fight you, but I remember.
You know, I used to fight a lot, okay?
Listen, I ain't never got in a fight on my own. If I ever got in a fight,
I fought a lot. I fought guys, I fought girls, I fought who wanted to fight. So that's
I was
just
so
me.
mad because we all got in the car and she only had one of my shoes.
Okay, that one that time.
I know that
Okay,
one
that one
that
that
time.
time. And that was a court street shoe. I remember that. It
Yeah,
was a
I
Court
was so
Street shoe.
mad. We went back out there and tried to look for the shoe.
So yeah, I fought a lot in my days, but this was not that day because this day I did not end up in the car with my crew. I ended up at the hospital with 30-something stitches going down this side of my face. Is it this side? It's this side.
Which side?
This side where my mouth went.
Yeah, but that was something else.
No, this one. No, this one right here was something else. This cut right here was something else. Now this one right here I might have caused upon myself.
Oh, okay, that was
Yeah.
was
This one. But that was it. Call me Scarface. I'm telling you, I'm getting a whole lot of fights. And boy, I'm telling you, they was at me. They were trying to get my face. But wait, you glad what?
You found the Lord?
I found him. I had to find him.
Ran to him.
No, they ran to her.
They pushed me down. Boy, I was fighting. And I will say that is so true because my life, I had to fight.
Hey,
But I will say, that last fight, he paid some women and a couple men that wanted to be women
oh my
to jump on me. And I ended up in the hospital. I got stitches down through my day. It was like a hairline fracture away from my skull. Like it was so horrible. I had 2 black eyes, beat up real bad, but for whatever the reason, I survived it. And it was a time, I think I went through that process for like 3 years in that situation. And I wouldn't wish it on nobody. So if you're in a relationship where you feel like you are, don't bring them over here, you germophobia. If you feel like you are in a situation where you can't get out of, I'm gonna tell you to step out. Because I was literally in a situation that I felt like if I left, I would fail. Financially, I would fail. To uproot my children and I had nowhere to take them, I would fail. But when you take that first step, I am a firm believer that God will help you the rest of the way. He's gonna give you a way out. If you can get out of a domestic violence situation, I'm gonna ask that you get out. But they had to run them hands, so I tell you that much. They had to run them things. But so the domestic violence, y'all keep, cause y'all know I tell all my stories, cause I've been through a lot of stuff.
Well, I don't think there's never a reason. I put my hands on a man a couple times. I don't think it's no reason to.
Sometimes they make you, and I know that's
Don't nobody make you put no hands on nobody.
makes you put hands on anybody, but that's where you have to really take into account if
Should I really be here?
right. Like if you get to a point where you want to physically harm another person, then you really should be not be in that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
But
What was that?
men as well are victims of domestic violence. I have a friend guy who he kind of gets upset because he never called the police on his wife. He allowed her to abuse him mentally and physical, and he was much taller than her, much bigger than her, but because of the way we look when men say, oh, she jumped on me or she did this, and everybody like, dude, you like, it's like it can't happen, but it can happen. So men, I'm gonna say the same thing to you. If you're in a situation where a woman is continually well, one time ain't gonna continue, because you ain't gonna continue to put your hands on me. You're gonna scare me one good time and act like you're gonna hit me and I'm out. Because it's something about catching a ball, that 3D effect, something coming straight to my face, it's coming straight to me, period. I be bugging out. Like I literally bug out. I fight. I just fight. Like I get ready to fight when you put your hands towards me. So that's what you writing?
Notes.
Well, then say something. Cause I tell these people, cause I'm a firm believer of fighting back.
so
And black women die the most because we fight back.
people who have been following the podcast will know that I was
White women fight back too. Other
No,
colored
and, no,
women
they
fight
do.
back.
No. That's you got the computer. I'm not gonna say white women don't fight back,
But we just know black.
but the high deaths in domestic violence are black women, and it's because we fight.
that's your opinion.
That is not my
I'm
opinion.
asking you.
No, that's not. I took
Okay.
domestic violence
I'm
classes.
sorry. I'm just asking. Is that your
No, that's not my opinion.
Okay. So back to what I was saying. The people that followed the show may have recalled that I have been in a committed relationship for 35 years. I was married for 20 years to that same person. And we were very young when we got together. I was 15, I believe he was 17 or 18. And in the beginning of our relationship, there was domestic violence. And that, there's no excuse for it. But I had a child. I came from a dysfunctional home life with my parents, and so I couldn't wait to leave. So when I turned 18, I moved out and I moved in with this person that later became my ex-husband. And and you know, the beginning of our relationship was kind of rocky because we were both young, and we both, well, I'm gonna say mainly him, but we were both young. So, and there was some years of domestic violence. And you know, and people always say, a lot of people will say, like, why do, and I'm gonna say women, because statistically this is women. Why do women stay in these relationships why don't they just leave? And over the 35 years that I was with my now ex-husband, or was bend, I probably left him like 10 times. Because that's what a lot of women do. They try to leave, and there's always something that ends up bringing them back. And you know, and it's all the stuff that was Nora said earlier. It's the physical, it's the physical abuse, but then that mental, that emotional, that financial, at some point I had 3 kids, and I was like, and then there was a lot of, that my husband was for a long time the primary caregiver or a primary breadwinner. So, and I was sometimes a stay-at-home mom because he was one of those guys that would be like, you don't have to work. You can stay home, you ain't gotta work, just have my food ready, whatever. And I really didn't have a problem with that, but I'm just not a dependent person. I don't like to depend on people for stuff. But even still, like I would not have been able to financially, well, I would have, but I just, in my mind, I didn't think I would have. So I always felt that I would depend on him because he literally was always there as a provider. And so, and then we had these kids, and I'm like, I want my kids to have 2 parents. Now I want my kids to be in in this family unit. But sometimes things got, to the point where it's like, okay, I need to take a break, and, and I need to take myself out of the situation. But there was always something, a lot of times when women leave relationships like that, they come back because they leave in a kind of defense, emergency,
Fight or flight.
Yeah, type of mode, but there's no planning involved. And so once you get out of that situation, and you usually when you get out of that situation, you're at somebody's house. You're somewhere. It's not like you're leaving into your own place. You're leaving because you have to. You feel like you have to, and so you're going to the closest, nearest open place that you can go, which is usually going to be with a relative. And now you're in a house with other people. It's an uncomfortable situation, and then you have your partner, your spouse, or whoever, trying to woo you bad. Or sometimes you have that partner or spouse that's vindictive. So then they try to just rain fire on everybody around you for taking you in. It causes so much conflict with the people who take you in that it's just easier to go back. Sometimes it's just because you are used to a routine. And because you're used to that routine, when you get thrown out of it, it's not just you, it's your kids, and your kids out of sorts. They're like, because mama, you left, but you didn't have it together when you left. You gotta get it together. And so, on average, statistically, it takes a woman 7 times to leave a spouse, partner, mate, whoever, before they leave for good. And in many of the cases, one of the things that keeps women in a domestic violence situation is financial. I mean, financial abuse is real. And so, you hear a lot of kind of flack from guys saying, women, you either got women that want me to take care of them, or you have women that's like, I don't need no man. But you really, as a woman, I don't care how good a man is to you, and I don't care how much he take care of you. As a woman, you really need to be able to financially stand on your own, because that is a buffer against a man. And even as we had Heather here, those who watched, we had Heather. She was on her second marriage. In her first marriage, she was the primary breadwinner, and she said she was dominant over her husband. So it goes both ways, but when you have that financial stability on your own, it is a buffer against domestic violence. I just gotta stop, because if you have a person that's inclined to do that, whether they do it because they drunk, they do it because they high, but when they sober, they good, stuff like that. But that's still, it affects you. So you have to keep that in mind. So when people, say abuse isn't just physical. It's primarily physical, but you also have a lot of financial abuse that happens, and you'll typically see that the higher the rates of domestic violence, that there's closely related to that financial piece. So, men, give women a lot of grief about, y'all work, talking about y'all independent women. But it's, first of all, everybody should be independent, period. Like, a woman should be able to be independent, a man should be able to be independent. Y'all should come together, and y'all be like, boom, boom, like, we're going to explode, we're going to rock the world, we partners in crime, we're going to be like, one or two powers activated. When we pump our fists together, we just explode. That's how you should be anyways. So you can't, you can't give a woman a hard time for saying she's independent, because you have a lot of women that were in situations where they were married or in a committed relationship, and that person, whether it be a man or a woman, use the finances. Like my ex once told me one time, he paid all the bills so he could do what he wants. Like he paid the cost to be the boss, and it didn't matter how much money I made, because he still wanted to pay all the bills so he could claim that right. And it's like, I'm not doing this.
I'm gonna take some comments from YouTube. Today I am up and running YouTube, and thank you guys to the couple of people who said we are beautiful. We do thank you. Scars and all, we are grateful to be here. We are grateful to be the women that sit before you. A young lady said something about a dude was jealous of a bird. Like, I'm not gonna read all these comments.
But you know what? That's true stuff for real.
Yeah.
That is really true stuff. Like, people be jealous of like the stupidest
Like
thing.
the dumbest stuff.
When they don't have all the, yes.
And on Facebook, I believe it's Panella. She says sometimes women don't leave when they are married because of the children, and they don't want others to see their marriage as a failure.
That is true.
That is so true.
That is true.
And when you really, with the state of social media today, I know social media, I believe social media forces couples to stay together longer than they would have. And I know that sounds crazy.
Because I think longer, because you need to keep your business off of social media sometimes.
Yeah, and they don't. So then when you see all these make-believe beautiful relationships, it's like you don't want to be out of that number. You want this same relationship that you see. You want this beauty, and you don't want anybody to see. Okay. So the different forms of domestic violence, I want to talk about the sexual form of it. So I was working in a hospital one day, and a young lady came in to the rehab center because she had a neck fracture, and I got that from, let me back up a little bit. There was a guy on Facebook that I seen by the name of Jerron Thomas. He was having sex with his girlfriend, and they were doing an erotic fixation where women like to be choked. So he choked her to death. Say it.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
I was just talking to myself out loud.
Oh, okay.
But they could
no.
be under the influence of drugs.
So
ain't no way. Go ahead.
ain't no way what?
That you gonna be able to choke me that much where I die. And I heard how the lady say, like, once he let loose, the blood just rushed to you. You don't know. But I think you kind of know, right? I mean,
I'm thinking if you're in the passion mode.
Yeah.
The passion mode.
Eyes closed and stuff like that.
Well, you're in a mode, and if you're, I don't want to talk like a nobody, but I just leave that right there.
But anything.
But she died.
But anything that you do that is, I mean, if you like that type of intimate stuff, then have you, because Charlie was saying it too, though, but have you a safe word,
Mm-hmm.
and before y'all get into that,
Peanut
for
butter.
one, if you having sex with somebody,
But how you got the safe word if you being choked?
but if you
A
having
safe-
sex,
safe-
hold on, but
safe
if you having
signal.
safe, we're all grown here too now. If you having sex like that, y'all should have talked about how y'all want sex.
Well, you really don't think in that time, and we're gonna.
But that's consensual, so that's technically not sexual.
It's not. But so okay.
that
So
her
what?
man?
That was her husband.
Okay,
Or was it her boyfriend? Boyfriend, probably.
so therefore they should have known, like they should have talked about what kind of sex they like, what kind of sex
But
they
that's
don't like,
not
what's off
sexual
limits and
abuse.
this and that.
Okay, no, I was going
I'm not
somewhere with that.
saying
This
it
is what made me come up with what made me remember the story in the hospital. So there was a young lady came in the hospital and she had a fractured neck. So she said she was a victim of domestic violence, sexual domestic violence. She was having sex with her partner, And as they were doing what they were doing, he got a little rough. She asked him to stop, and somehow she flipped off the bed on her neck. So she flipped off the bed on her neck, and it was said that she would never walk again. Thank God she is up and walking and doing just fine. Actually on social media, heckling me after. Anyway, I'm sorry. Calm down, Tisa, because I took care of you, chick.
She's heckling you like in a mean way.
Yeah, girl, she talked about my ears, talked about, girl, down there one day. Hey, this ain't what we talking about?
I got lost, I guess.
Oh, okay. So for whatever reason, but she said it was domestic violence what she went through. Later I found out that she wasn't telling the truth. You know, I know. But she wasn't telling the truth, but just the ideal of if they were engaged in sex and it got rough to the point where she's giving her safe words. So what she says, she's giving her safe words. She's asking him to stop. But he didn't. So to me, that's a form of sexual domestic violence. So women, that's another thing. If you're in a relationship and you can't make this man stop, or you can't tell him to stop, or if you don't feel like sex tonight or whatever, and now don't just be calling domestic violence on everything now, but you will know, in your heart of hearts, you know when it's not right, when it does not feel comfortable, when your no really means no, and he goes against what you're saying. I just feel like anybody who is dealing with domestic violence, it's so easy for us to sit here and say, get out of this situation, but go through the fear of getting out of it, get over the fear. Because you'll end up dead. Like, you'll literally end up dead in a domestic violence situation. Or either when somebody speaks so negative into your spirit, somebody's telling you that you're not good enough. You won't find a man after me. Don't nobody want you with all them kids. You're not pretty. Like, all these types of things that people are planting in your spirit, shake it off and move around. Because I just feel like it's so much more to life than to sit there and be pinned down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it takes so really, ultimately, when you are in a situation of abuse, it is up to you to get yourself into a mindset to get out. And I don't care how you have to do it. That involves therapy, marriage counseling, individual therapy, spiritual, you go to church. If you're a Bible person, you start reading the Bible. If you're an affirmation person, you start doing affirmations. If you're a spiritual person, you start manifesting, but you really have to work on strengthening yourself, because many times, other than the financial abuse, the reason why you are able to be in an abusive situation is because somewhere you have a mental, and I don't mean it in a bad way, because I'm talking about me, you have a mental issue with establishing boundaries, with overthinking, with self-esteem. So those are things that you need to do to build yourself up, to make you strong enough to get out of these situations. And that's where, and men get it as well. You have women that will tell men, you ain't this, you ain't that, you ain't no man, you ain't this. So it goes both ways. It's not just women. Women do experience it at a higher rate, much higher rate. But and I don't know, like, from the sexual part, I don't know that a woman can sexually abuse a man.
I seen Law and Order where they said it could.
Well, when you drug him, maybe.
Oh no, because they said when the woman rapes a man, it's because she puts so much fear in him that muscle erects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what Law and Order said, and they said it's written from a true.
But it is possible to be sexually assaulted in a relationship. Like, men have to know that, and women have to know that. You have guys, and like you said, you got a woman that they have instances of that. But you have men that feel like you are my person, whether you my wife, my spouse, my whatever, and this is what you gotta give it to me, and they will force or coerce you to do that when you really don't want to, or they will harass you until you kind of get court. Now some of that is just right, because a lot of times like we be in that I don't want to no mode, but then you gotta do a little tussle and a little fight and be like, okay,
Okay, baby.
all right. But when you say
Take it. Just take it.
but when you really say no, then I don't care if you married, fiance, I don't care what you are. If you say no and that person continues to take it, then you are being sexually assaulted in your marriage, in your relationship. And a lot of men don't see it that way because this my woman, this my wife, this is part of what she's supposed to do. But you do see a lot of that as well in maybe not even physically violent relationships, but just in those emotionally, mentally abusive type relationships. And again, I'm not gonna lie, I was in that relationship for a while. I mean, I was in that whole gamut of relationship for a while where, it started out as a physically abusive relationship and it turned into a mentally abusive relationship. Like, oh, if you do this, I'm gonna leave you. If you do that, I'm gonna leave you. And I'm in love. And it's my soulmate. So I can't do nothing for you to leave me. I can't take a step out the door because if I do, you're gonna leave me and I don't want you to leave me. That type of stuff, that emotional type abuse. And then, it, and it can come in, the ebb and flow is different, for everybody, but it could start off at the point of physical and kind of de-escalate down to maybe non-physical but verbal. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes that verbal, emotional abuse, man, I might just want you to hit me. Just hit me. Because the scar go away. But when you keep dealing with that emotional, verbal
Not
type
tired
of
from
abuse,
what way says.
well, you got cut. I said hit. And so that's different. I ain't
Because they
say
knew what they hit.
I ain't say cut.
I'm joking.
I was about to say, I know mentally,
And you didn't get cut by no man. So,
emotionally, I hit my ex-husband a couple times, but I didn't know what else to do. I mean, I know it's not right to hit nobody, but he had made me mad so much, like my words, he kind of fell off his shoulders, because we used to have word wars, and he was telling me, listen, if you leave me, you're gonna be a welfare chick, and it was like and that's not bad, I mean, it was not good to tell your wife, but it was, he just talked, and I tried to take his manhood, that didn't work, and then it came down to it where I'm like, okay, I gotta fight you now, you hurt my feelings too much, I don't know, but that's a little bit after that, I left,
So now my question is, and domestic violence is not just people that's in a relationship. Domestic violence is also siblings,
Right.
Mother and child, father and son. It can be
sister, brother.
sister, brother. So domestic violence isn't only what you get from your partner. So I don't want nobody to leave this today and feel like, okay, it's not my spouse, so it's okay. It's not okay.
Mhm.
It's not okay for anyone to treat you in any way that's not right. That's not right. It's not. But also, what just came to my mind?
Well, we're also gonna put in there, so a term that has been going around a lot for the last few years, but people really need to be aware of, because it's like really like this type of underlying thing that sometimes it's hard to detect until you really learn the signs, is narcissistic abuse. Like people really, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. And narcissistic abuse can be with a spouse, a mate, it could be mothers, it could be mother-child, father-child, sister, brothers, cause so there's, and that, again, that's a whole nother area of abuse that is becoming a lot more
Can I
prevalent
just read the definition
in
of
today's
it?
society.
And we won't have to go there.
You can read the definition, but I think it does go along, and again, in the topic of we said domestic violence, but you really should have been more like abusive relationships, really, because there's more than one form of abuse. But go ahead and read.
So narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need to seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. It's really much deeper than that, but that's just like a overall something. So if you feel like that might have touched you somewhere, still, Google it, see what it's about, see if your spouse.
I'm gonna do a YouTube on that.
Are you?
I am.
So y'all follow Tracy. I'm gonna tag her. I'll tag her now in the video. So she has a lot of stuff coming to you. So I really would like for y'all to follow Tracy Powell on all social media. But now my question is, what I've noticed, I haven't, I've been a victim of domestic violence, but not to the point where I can say it's a continuous thing. Like once it's happened, your girl out. Like I'm out. Well, not with the financial, because I was broke, so I kind of stayed there for longer than I wanted to. But I knew it wasn't right, and I knew my heart wasn't gonna take it because somebody was gonna end up not being good, and it wasn't gonna be good. But my thing is, why when women or men, they escape domestic violence, they run into the arms of another person just
because
like
they have not healed themselves, and which is why I said for you to get out of these situations, you really have to do the work on yourself,
And
because you have to
upbringing,
sit
too.
back. Not even the upbringing, because
Sometimes that is a factor.
I don't care. This is a hard
they
line.
don't understand love.
Hard line, I'm gonna tell you. I don't care how you was raised. At a certain point in your life, you have to take responsibility for how you choose to
But
live
some
your
people
life.
don't understand.
But if you don't know,
That's
Yeah.
why.
like this is what you're taught.
I've been to therapy,
Me too.
so I'm gonna tell you. That's
I've
why
been
I
to therapy, I've been to anger management, and I told them what it was going down. I sing a song in my head and I get over it. That's where anger
I
Jay-
get an anger management.
Wilson.
I have a 10.
I don't know any woman that likes an abusive man. Women who are with abusive men have issues that need to be resolved. That's what I'm gonna say. I have not met a woman yet that's been in an abusive relationship that said she liked it. And again, there's reasons why women especially do not leave relationships. It is not because they necessarily like to be in them, it's because they have delusions that they can change this person, or again, they have self-esteem issues, they have financial issues, they think they're, there for, the kids. And again, like you said, people will get out of a abusive relationship and go right back into another one. And that's because, one, they haven't taken this time to do self-reflection to say, why did I allow somebody to treat me this way? So what is wrong with me that I would allow somebody to treat me this way? When you don't do that self-reflection, you don't take that accountability, because a person can only treat you bad as much as you let them. So if you tell people how to treat you. You show people how to treat you when they treat you bad.
But if you don't know,
what is it that you don't know?
because that's all. Like if you ever seen that? I think it's like a cave demonstration where they had the person in the cave for so long. When they let him out to the light, he thought the light was wrong, so he ran back to the cave because all he knew was the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So if all the woman know is the dark, it's hard to identify with anything other than the dark. It's hard to accept love because it's something that they don't know, or it's something, that's they don't know.
I mean, some people can't. Some people maybe can be helped that way.
I think I was looking for a daddy. I ain't trying to talk about my daddy, but I think I was missing out on a daddy, and I was trying to find that
But
in a
then,
man.
that's my point. You have issues that you need to resolve. I had issues that I need to resolve. I think I was a really good wife, but I also know that I had issues that kept me in a relationship longer than I should have. And I had to come to terms with those issues and work on those issues so that when I did leave the last time, I left and I was gone. See ya, I'm not even checking the rear view mirror because I'm good now. Because I stopped worrying about this other person and I started worrying about what is my issue that keeps allowing me to let a person disrespect me. What is my issue? I'm not, you stop making it about the other person and you make it about yourself. So you have to, again, if you ain't had no daddy, you ain't had no daddy, but you're not going to find him in a man. Because a man should be your man, not your daddy. And that's
Not
something
knowing
that
that.
I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking in
Okay.
general. Because a lot of men will say women have daddy issues. And a lot of them do. I mean, you got men that have mama issues. You got men that's in dysfunctional relationships because they have mother issues because their mothers abandoned them or neglected them, whatever, and then they looking for that in their wife. And it stirs up abusiveness in that relationship. So it's not just men, it ain't just women that have issues. So I'm just saying in general, when you are an abusive person and when you are being abused, both of y'all have issues. But one of y'all got to be the smarter person to say, this is dysfunctional. And somebody's got to change. And it's not always going to be the abuser because it's not always.
Can I look y'all in the eye and say abuser is a coward? I don't know how I can look, but a person who abuses another person is a straight coward to me. And I hope that strikes you somewhere real good because it takes a true person a true coward to intentionally try to hurt another person for the benefit of themselves for no reason at all. That's a coward in every way, shape, form, and fashion. You are a coward. Because I don't know what brought this to my spirit, but I know there is somebody on here that is guilty of being an abuser. And what I feel to tell you right now that you are a coward because more than likely you would not hit another person who you know gonna swing back the way you hit whoever. And I'm gonna say this to Nate Wilson on YouTube. I forget which one is YouTube. But Nate on YouTube said, and I believe it's very ignorant for you to say, and you did say in the beginning, you're not going to like what I'm going to say, and I'm going to address what you said.
Well, I already addressed what he said.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
When?
I was looking at that comment.
When I said women go because there's something wrong with them. I was talking to Nate. I don't know. I think I called his name out.
Well, Nate said on YouTube, and it struck me because I believe this is why some people shy away from telling their truth or letting people know they've been in situations because Nate said when men are abusive, y'all women love those type of men. You sound stupid. I might lose a follower, but you sound stupid.
But we
We
Well,
just
that's why
told
I
you
said-
it's a
well,
scare
and that's why I
tactic,
said
but
I
still,
have-
yeah.
and that's why I said I've never met a woman who likes being abused. But there's reasons why women stay in relationships. And when you said when you leave one relationship, you go into another one, and that's why I was addressing the fact that people need to do the work for themselves. Because that's how you get out of that cycle of, jumping from one abusive relationship to another, is because you need to work on why is it about you that is attracting or falling into these, because it's an issue, it's a personal issue. The abuser has their own issue. But again, you gotta stop worrying about them. You gotta worry about you. So what is it in me that allows this person, any person, that I don't have boundaries? Like it's like you have a lack of boundaries. Why do I not have boundaries? Because I'm a people pleaser. I want people to be happy because I'm codependent. I have codependency issues. Do I just gotta have somebody, over me, So people have to figure it out. And again, however you do that, whether you go to therapy, whether you go to a church counselor, whether you do the spiritual, whether you do, again, the affirmations, you go through your manifestations, you write down your journals, however you have to do that, you have to stop focusing on whoever your abuser is and what you can do to make them happy. And you have to start focusing on yourself and why you have a lack of boundaries. Why do you not have boundaries that you stand on and not let people cross them? That's the part where and I'm addressing Nate and I'm addressing you when you say why you leave one abuse and get into another. Because you ain't taking the time to heal. You're not taking the time to do self-reflection. You're not taking the time to see what's really wrong with you that you either keep. You're not attracting these men. You know the red flags because you've experienced it. So you'll meet a lot of people. It ain't like you just only meeting abusive men. You'll meet a lot of men. But then as you get into these relationships and you see those red flags, why are you not heeding those red flags when you know what they look like? That's a personal issue.
Well, I'm going to say our time has come. And I would like to also say, again, help is available. You can reach out to Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233, or you can text START to 88788. But I am almost sure there is some place in your city that has homes, because a friend girl of mine actually was saved through one of those domestic violence homes where she went, because you don't really want to go to a family member's house or anything because they follow you and they threaten your family and they threaten, so just try to get away to a place, a secret place where you can hide. Danette.
Your employee assistance program at Work Help.
Your EPA, because
EAP.
EAP.
Yeah.
So Danette, we're gonna end this, but if you would like to say your closing words for the week.
Well, yes. She put the number up there for you for domestic violence. Y'all stay strong. Be safe out there, and I'm wishing the best for everybody who's in a situation, and it gets better, however, whatever type of abuse it is. So have a strong heart.
Pecan Tan on Facebook, on YouTube, I'm gonna say yes. Stay strong, do the self-work. You don't have to be with a person like that. I don't know if you have children, but you can do it. My mother had 5 kids and she was a single mother, and she was able to, not for all her life, for a short period of time, but she did it. She did it. You can do it. And again, if you are in an abusive situation, it's that 800-799-7233, or text START at 88788. Because there's a lot of assistance programs out there for especially women. Unfortunately, not as many for men, but especially women that are in abusive relationships. And yes, Pecan Tan, do the work. I'm telling you, I did it, and you can do it. But again, my closing arguments are always going to be a finance tip, especially when we talk about domestic violence and the finance aspect of it. So first of all, all y'all, whether you're in a domestic violence situation or not, whether you just, this don't have to be nothing to do with domestic violence. One, the first thing you need to do is always be a good steward of your money. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do is check your bank account, because I want to know what's going on with my money. And the second thing, and your credit card accounts if you have credit cards. And the second thing you should do every morning when you wake up, the first thing you should do should not be Instagram, it should not be Facebook, it should not be Twitter, YouTube, or none of that. The first thing you should hit on in the morning when you wake up is to check your bank account, check your credit card accounts, and check your credit report. Now you got Credit Karma or one of your credit cards, Capital One, Citibank, whoever, they all offer you credit monitoring for free. So you should be hitting up one of those to check your credit report. That is the start of you being in a position of financial stability. And I'm gonna leave it there. Other than that, if you don't pay nobody to fix your credit either. You can do that for free.
Yes, sir.
That's my closing remarks.
All right, so my closing remarks, it was one thing, but I switched it.
Well, you have to tell us that.
Now I had to tell him because I'm looking for it right now, and you ended too soon. You never.
Oh, I got some more.
No.
Do not pay people to fix your credit. One, you can fix it yourself. Two, if they do fix your credit, technically it's illegal for somebody to charge you for fixing your credit until after they have removed something from your credit. So if somebody say I can fix your credit and then they say, but you gotta give me $100 first, you dealing with the wrong people. Because what it's supposed to do is if they say I'm gonna fix your credit, then you should pay them contingent upon them taking stuff off your credit report. And again, a lot of that stuff you can take off by yourself. People ask me, do I fix credit? I do not fix people's credit because you can fix your own credit. I can coach you on how to fix your credit, but I'm not gonna get your social security number. I don't want to know none of your information, but I can tell you what you need to do to fix your credit. But you should not be paying people a deposit in advance to fix your credit, because technically they're violating a federal act that we're not gonna get into. And if you are paying somebody monthly, some people do a subscription. I know a person that was paying a monthly subscription for people to fix his credit, and they really didn't fix his credit, and I did not need his information. I just needed him to show me some stuff, and I told him what to do, and his credit score went up 140 points just by doing basic stuff. So y'all, and he didn't, and nobody had to pay. So y'all don't pay people to fix y'all credit. Y'all can do it yourself. You ready?
Yes, so I went to Corinthians, and I'm actually still going to give my first one to Corinthians, love. And everybody does not live by scripture, live by the Bible, but when you hear love simplified in the Bible, it says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor other, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. So I said that to say, if that's not what you feel with your significant other, or if you don't feel like that in your household, with your family, your sisters, brothers, then you might need to think about what love really is, or what do you feel like love's supposed to feel like. And the last but not least, God says he knows the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope for a future. So the first one was in Corinthians 13, 4-7, and the second was Jeremiah 29, 11. And that's all I have for tonight. And I pray that anyone that is in a relationship, get out. In an abusive relationship, get out.
If you need a job, I don't know what type of money you're trying to make, or if you're trying to get on your feet, but inbox whoever tagged on here, or Nora Potts, and I think it's like a job, but I don't know what you do. But if you need a job, I can help you. I ain't gonna say them, but yeah, I just don't know what she want to do. But if she's just trying to get on her feet. But that's all.
He can't hear, and I just kind of read back to it, and I do not want to leave this podcast without addressing those who I feel might need a special word. But I'm going to ask that you really, really start speaking life over your situation, life over yourself. Tracy said earlier, you might have missed it, affirmations every day. You are enough. You do not deserve whatever you're going through. You are more than a conqueror. You are not a victim. You are a survivor. You are a beautiful woman. You are a woman. You deserve everything that God has for you. I want you to see yourself in a way that God sees you. I want you to look at your life and say, this could be so much better. I want you to move in a direction to prosper, move in a direction where you leave everything that's negative behind. I don't care who it is, what it is, but anything that disrupts your peace, I want you to move. And I want you to start asking God to move you in a quick way, in a way that will blow your mind. God, these things that's going on in my life, I don't know why, but one day you're going to use them as a testimony, the same way me, Danette, and Tracy just did. And God is going to use you. He's going to allow you to get through whatever you're going through. But He's going to use you in such a mighty way. But I want you to be able to come out of this without a scar. But the longer you stay in situations, every day gives another chance for somebody to take your last breath, for somebody to plant a seed in you that once it starts growing, it's hard to pluck. You know, I've had people tell me things in my life. I was just recently told I was not marriage material. If I allow those kind of things to settle in my spirit, I allow them to grow, and I walk around like I'm not who God told me I was, and I know I'm everything that God said I am. So get out of a situation where people are planting things in your spirit or doing things to you that's not.
I'm gonna go as far to say as too, when you speak to God, ask him to make it easy for you. God, this is what I want, and make it simple, make it easy. But also, I also want to tell PK and Tan to speak it as if it is. So if you want to be in whatever it is you want to be, if you want to be in a job that's gonna provide you enough income to make you financially stable, and I don't know what that number is. It could be 30,000, it could be 40,000, it could be 50,000. But what you need to do is say, I will have a job in the next 6 months, or by this time next year, I will have a job making what I just claim it. Like, I will do this, because you have to put that out.
In the atmosphere,
into the atmosphere, that energy, because we are all made of energy. So and it is proven that when you speak this stuff out loud, it changes the trajectory of your life. Witness. And number two, I know it's going to sound stupid, but you also need to pray for your abuser, that God, or again, whatever you believe in, whether it's the spirits, karma, the energy, but you need to pray to soften him and to soften his ways, because if you cannot leave immediately, you also want to pray for him to have some type of peace within his spirit that would allow your environment to be more peaceful while you work through your transitions. Don't give up. It is very hard, very hard. It took me 15 years. It is very hard to do this. Especially, I was in a relationship as a child. So this relationship was ingrained in me, and I had to work really, really, really hard to get out of it. So, but I always prayed for my husband, my ex-husband, along with my children, my family. Different prayers for different people, but I prayed for the Lord to soften his heart. I prayed and I told myself, I will not do this. I'm not going to continue this. And that's what you need to do. Speak it as if it already is.
You also have to change the way you react to that person. The way you react to them, and you may not be doing nothing wrong. You may not be saying anything. You might not, you might not argue back. But it's still something, you have to find a way to learn how to react different until you're able to get out,
Well, forever. You should never let a person's response change who you are or take you out.
Cut me somebody in half, man.
Well,
sorry.
that's different, but I'm just saying it's different to be in defense mode. But when you have to learn. You can't change people. The only way you can change a person is by changing yourself. And the reason why that changes a person is because when you change how you react, so if you always react the same way, then that's a system that they know. If I push this button, this is the response I'm gonna get. But what you have to do, I didn't say that. I'm not saying you're not, but I'm just saying you have to change your response to a person, and that in effect will make them change how they address you. Because if you don't let a person's energy or their words affect you the way you normally would, and say, you know what, I recognize this for what it is, it's a cycle. I'm not gonna do this. So then instead of arguing, you be quiet. Or instead of sitting there and just letting everything go, maybe you say, I don't agree with that, But you have to change the way you react to people and learn how to de-escalate, or even just ignore.
And also, once a person learns what you will not accept,
they're gonna change.
they're going to change. But without it being said, we are grateful for you guys who came in, and I am happy with the amount of people that came tonight, because I did not post that we were coming, but we are planning to be here each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Myself, Nora, Nikki is missing for the second week. Nikki, you're gonna be on punishment next week if you ain't here. And then you have the beautiful Tracy and the lovely Danette. And we are out. Thank you guys for coming.
What we supposed to sing our song?
What song?
Cruising was made for love.
That's because we was going cruising.
Girl, we
Oh, that's right.
We ain't
Bye,
not
y'all.
cruising no more. All right, see y'all later.
Okay.